You mentioned Vince Russo a little bit earlier, and I've got this note from the Observer about him from August 28th. And you can really see that things are just kind of coming apart at the seams here in WCW, and this note really indicates it. Vince Russo, in a WCW Live interview, which had numerous people internally spinning their heads, stated that he had just 60 weeks left on his contract, and at that point, if he lasted that long, which he doubted he would leave pro wrestling forever. And it continues, Russo remains popular among the young wrestlers as well as veterans who have moved up on the card because of the absence of so many of the older wrestlers that had dominated main events for years. But much of the rest of the company has lost confidence in his abilities and grown tired of his weekly excuses. So Russo clearly struggling here. And as you mentioned, these are the dying days of WCW. Jim, we don't pull any punches here on
did he make himself world champion?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And
I mean, you might say the ego might be a little tough, if you're writing the storyline like, well, I'm the world champion. Sending all the big guys away to battle. 1, 2, 3. Look, honey. Name him up. And then, Russo spins the deal. He says, well, I was doing Duggan a favor, bringing him into WCW after WWE. But you know what? WCW goes under, Russo goes home, all us top boys go home, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan. I go up to WWE and I work with DiBiase's kid, Dusty's kid, and Orton's kid. Who's doing who a favor?
That's it, man. I mean, you proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that it had absolutely nothing to do with you.
But anyway, you get me in a bad mood. Yeah.
That's right. Well, look.
No, I'm just joking. It doesn't bother me one way or the other, to tell you the truth. I have no hard feelings to Vince Russo. Let him, bygones be bygones, does what he do.
Now, at the time here, though, I mean, like, it mentions popular among the younger wrestlers. Maybe the veteran wrestlers aren't that crazy about him. Did you have any kind of relationship with Russo at all at this point, or is it just kind of passing each other in the hall?
Just passing it. I very seldom had any interaction with the office, Mid-South, anybody. I wasn't an office guy. I wasn't in there saying, hey, I got a great idea. Once in a while I'd pitch an idea. But usually I just say, send me out there, and I don't want fireworks. I want to hear the pop when I come out. Nowadays, hey, let's get a lot of fireworks. We'll get a good pop. Yeah, let me come out and hear my music and have my pop. It didn't really matter. I was happy. Give me the opportunity, and of course that's how the old days they used to pay. Well, we're giving you the opportunity to be on TV, so here's $50. So yeah, give me the opportunity, and I could pretty much make it work with whoever they stuck me in the ring with.
That's interesting, because everybody was getting pyro in those days, and I just never put the pieces together. You were just coming out with your flag and your 2x4 and you get a big pop.
Which I like, man. That got me going. You say, and the people. I joke, because sometimes you're on the road. You've been on the road for how many weeks, and you haven't had a good meal. You've been out partying the night before, maybe a few too many cocktails. You're in the building, and you're lacing up your boots. You feel kind of tired. You grab your 2x4 and you get there to the curtain, and all of a sudden, comes through the curtain, everybody in the stop around. Holy smokes. That's the life, man. I tell you, I'm 70 years old. I got little goosebumps doing it now.
Yeah, you're going to be fired up over here.
Grab a board next time, Ken.
I'm going to bring a 2x4 down here.
Thank God you're not talking to Jake.
Well, something that's gotten a lot of attention recently due to a Hard Side of the Ring episode is the Bash at the Beach 2000, and the way that Hogan would ultimately leave the promotion. Jim, are you up to date on all the Dark Side of the Ring stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. I know.
I did two of the shows. Yeah, I did the one about Matt Bourne that I have seen. And it's funny, they came here to the house. They were here for every 4 or 5 hours, 3 cameras, shoot, 5 or 6 guys. And gave me 20 seconds.
Yep, I watched them.
But they paid. What the hell? They paid, and they came to the house, so it was a good deal. So the dog deal, I haven't seen yet. But I had such a great relationship with JYD. I'll be anxious to see how they're trying to spin that, because, like I said, you give them all that footage, they can use what they want.
Yep. And that's the thing. I've heard some guys complain along the way that they didn't feel that they were, accurately represented in those documentaries. Some guys say that it's great and they love the experience. So I don't know. I think it's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah, well, I don't watch too much of that or too much of wrestling. Then I'm trying to myself after 40 years, the last thing I want to watch when I'm home is wrestling.
And I've heard some guys say like, hey, look, I would watch if it was like the bright side of the ring where they're talking about the nice stories from our business.
Yeah, the news, Bud sells, right? I mean, all that horror story stuff. There's success stories in our business, but you don't hear a lot about them. And that's one thing about McMahon. People say, well, you don't get a pension. Well, you don't work for the guy for 20 years to get a pension. Very few guys stay there 20 years, and you don't have insurance. Well, you know that going in. It's not like it's a surprise after you get done, but it's been a great business for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you kind of get paid an opportunity back then. I know that nobody had guaranteed contracts. I mean, you're guaranteed with like downside guarantee of like $1,500 a year or something like that. And really, it's like you're kind of being paid an opportunity. Like, get out there, get yourself over, and you'll make a lot of money. And a lot of guys did. Some guys didn't. Yeah,
well, that's what the opportunity Andre the Giant gave me when I knocked him out with my 2x4. That made us elevated. That elevated me to a main event level. And me and Andre, we went around the world working together. I wrestled Andre the Giant. So I worked every night Andre wanted to work, and he wanted to work a lot. But that was probably my best year in the business, too, because I was on top with Andre, and we worked a bunch.
Man, it's cool following your social media. You post a lot about like kind of the places that you're going there with Andre 35 years ago. So it's fun to look back at those days.
Yeah, well, this past weekend I was just in Memphis or Tupelo, Mississippi, and it was great. I went backstage with all the boys, and I joke. I said, the boys are the boys, no matter what generation or no matter what country you're in. Pro wrestlers are pro wrestlers, and it's nice to go back and see all the young guys and wish them luck. And of course, they always come to Hacksaw. You got any advice for me? And I'm like, yeah. I say, getting golf clubs. That's where the money's at. And a lot easier on the body. No, I always tell kids, chase your dreams, because as I said before, Daniel Bryan, I look at that guy, I'm like, good talent, but he ain't going to make it. Guy with the heart, the work ethic, the desire, give me a huge star.
Incredible, man.
So you never know. I mean, who thought a 2x4 and a guy named Hacksaw, how come you're not 2x4, Duggan?
I think Hacksaw rolls off the tongue a little bit better.
Yeah, I said it's wrestling. It doesn't have to make sense.
Well, in the same issue of The Observer, you're named among the roster cuts of the era for whatever reason. This is right before you get the call to become part of Team Canada. So there's like a lot of their big stars that they have a lot of equity in, like Kurt Hennig, Brian Knobbs, Miss Elizabeth, Mike Rotunda, and plenty more are getting cut from the roster. And you were among the names, with I guess the idea being that you would be under contract still, so they'd still have to pay you, but you just ride it out at home. Do you have any recollection of them approaching you about being cut before this Team Canada angle came along?
No, that's pretty much when they suggest. I think, this is all news to me, Marcus, so I never knew any of this. But I think that's why they gave me the Team Canada deal, assuming that I would quit.